I also just love how the tech priests talk in this game. Well, it's that they have their own distinct voices, and also they're very. When you hear it for the first time, it's a very, very I don't know how to put it, like surprising or intimidating. It's really
the layers of digital over the voice.
Yeah, it's very inhuman sounding.
Yeah, they've had that sort of voice in games for a while.
No, not done like this. They normally actually just talk like normal people, actually, just with like kind of like a nerdy kind of accent to it. They actually speak English in most games.
They not speak English in this game?
They speak in binaric.
Fucking nerds.
Well, not actually binaric, but like spurts of data code.
Wait, binaric, as in the Austroasiatic
Binary.
binaric languages?
Binary.
Oh, binary, okay.
Oh, that's really not good. No, that's even worse.
Didn't you gang up on like one of them at a time?
The issue is that guy goes around, he eats up all of the I forget what the resource is actually called, but the fuel stuff that you get, the points that you can get data resources from. So he's really, the canoptic spiders are really nasty to have around, so I'm going to want to take that guy out. Let's see. Those two should be able to handle it. And send those guys after the destroyer. The other thing that really bites in this game is that there's no cover system. Yeah, there's no cover here besides your face. Oh, good. The destroyer basically has no armor whatsoever. That's much easier. No, normally these guys are supposed to be beefy as shit, but this one's actually pretty weak.
I mean, they're fucking massive. They look like they should be fucking invincible.
Reminds me, any of you guys ever see that movie Chappie by Neil Blomkamp?
No, I skipped that one after I heard it sucked.
Yeah.
Was that the
exactly.
one set
Same
in South
thing.
Africa?
I mean,
No,
They're
that's
all in South Africa. The reason I mentioned it was because there's actually a pretty cool scene in that movie where Hugh Jackman programs like a ED-209 style robot to go kill people. Due to the square cube law, it's so big and it has to have proportionally much more plating to cover it that it's actually less durable than a humanoid robot because its armor is thinner necessarily. But yeah, like mass-produced Terminators, basically.
are they at least like heavily armed, or do they just have like
They have,
assault rifles?
they usually carry grenade launchers.
Oh, I forgot
there's
also it
that.
buffs itself.
Actually, there's a scene in the movie where like Hugh Jackman's trying to advertise his Ed 209. Sigourney Weaver is like the defense contractor CEO. She basically asks, "Why the fuck would we need like anti-aircraft guns to police this like city?" And it like, what was that? I mean, like it's a completely sensible thing to say. I mean, they don't have helicopters, do they?
Uh, I mean, they're not fucking gorilla or anything like that. Even a gorilla doesn't really have helicopters. I don't need why. I don't see why you need such heavy firepower. Like you would need armor, but if you're dealing with like gangs and criminals, you don't want like a fucking 20 millimeter because you're just gonna destroy all the houses, like civilians.
Well,
Oh
collateral
yeah,
damage is bad for the bottom line. Don't need a Ed
getting
209 with his anti-aircraft cannons and his like 40mm grenade launcher to like track down muggers.
yeah, but that's kind of a joke in RoboCop, right? Because clearly they just don't care. I mean, I think like Ronnie Cox in that movie, he explicitly states that he doesn't care if it works or not, or if it makes sense. That's kind of the joke, really overpowered to what it's supposed to actually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in Chappie, like Hugh Jackman plays like a villain, and he's like completely serious about basically hawking what is like basically an up-armed Ed 209 to the police force. It's kind of hilarious because that seems like something space battles would do.
But we would still do it just to see what happens.
Fool, there is no such thing as overkill. What kind of heresy is this?
Yeah, the movie was mostly crap, but the fight scene at the end is kind of cool.
I did like one good movie, Neil, whatever his name is.
He only made like 3 movies in general, I think.
Yeah, District 9 was pretty good. Kind of like modern take on like a Paul Verhoeven movie.
I
Like
really
a
liked the
robot.
District 9 was a masterpiece. Elysium was pretty good, and then I heard Chappie was just god awful.
Oh,
I'm sure.
Elysium was like. Ugh.
I'm sure I'd call Chappie god awful. Like it's not good, but like I've seen much worse for summer blockbusters.
Oh, that was stupid of me. Why
Yeah.
I'll deploy that guy right there.
And at least it has like ideas. The ideas aren't executed like completely. I mean, they're not new ideas, but they're not executed completely incompetently.
If nothing else, I at least like laugh my ass off at the end scene where Chappie just goes and beats the fuck out of Hugh Jackman.
Really, he should have directed RoboCop, not Joseph Padilla. But at the same time, really, nobody director didn't have any fucking say on anything in that movie. That was a fucking corporate movie. reboot.
Disappointed he got canned for that Alien movie. It seems like he would have been perfect for that.
Better than fucking Ridley Scott. At this point, Uwe Boll would have been better than fucking Ridley Scott. Jesus Christ.
I don't think I've seen you Bowl do a movie in a long time.
Yeah, he stopped like 5 years ago or like 7 years ago. It's like a restaurant. I mean, good for him. He can just fuck up his restaurant and never do anything public or relevant ever again. The things that disappointed me about like the Alien. What was the name of the last Alien movie?
A Covenant.
But the fucking weapons design, like the prop design, was fucking lazy as shit. Every fucking science fiction movie prop design is just so lazy nowadays. It's just like you're just carrying M4s and Glocks, like a red dot. Yeah, exactly. It's just like they don't care. They just slap whatever they have together. Whatever.
It was much better back in the old days when they just took a broom-handled Mauser and put plastic on it.
Yeah, well, at least it looks cool. I mean, it looked different, but nowadays it just looks like an M4. Like the fucking assault rifle from Aliens, the M41. That looks like a cool, like, doesn't really. It looks dated. It looks like a '80s futuristic gun, but at least it looks like a fucking space gun. The new one is just M4s. Very.
I mean, how many games or movies do they have to put the Pancore jackhammer in? The shotgun?
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, okay, for some reason, movies and games have like a fucking fetish for the XM8.
Yeah, I mean, that was for a while, right? And then it died. When the project died, nobody cared.
It was literally just a G36 with plastic on it.
Which they
Yeah.
always do.
Different. It was worse. It was worse than a G36 because it was heavier. It was a like
Didn't they say that the F-35 would be the future of air jets and shit?
I mean, it
it
is.
is. It effectively is. Everybody's
Yes,
buying
it
it.
is. The most expensive exactly.
Well,
The
it'll probably be
best-
the last manned fighter jet we ever build, at least in America. They're too cool to just have the Eurofighter.
Yeah, oh yeah. You're not part of Europe anymore. I have a
Actually, now that I think about it, the guns in Neil Blomkamp's movies look okay.
yeah. You know, I remember that in Elysium there's like vectors, like super, not the fucking South African vectors, the super vector, whatever, the 45 caliber submachine gun. Yeah, that one that fires at like 1,200 rounds a minute. Useless.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah, like an
useless.
It had like an AKM that fired like airburst grenades.
That's usually how it goes, I think.
Wasn't the original E11 prop like a Sten gun with plastic on it?
This Sterling, not
Sterling, okay.
Sterling is a fancy Sten gun, but yeah.
And the E-Web was a Lewis gun without the pan.
Yeah, there was like an MG34 or MG42 also. It was like a heavy blaster.
Yeah, that the sergeant on Tatooine had or whatever.
The droid's guy. Yeah,
Well, that's
they
because
really,
they still looked like actual guns.
yeah, but they did like looking at the fucking guns, the Alien Covenant, just to check. There's
Oh,
this
this is
website.
oh god, this is bad. Necron started with initiative. Yeah, that means they all get to move first. Hopefully, nothing actually is in range to shoot me. Oh, I spoke too soon.
Necrons are always in range.
Luckily, I put the Skitarii as meat shields. Oh, that's really not good. Well, there's Lich Guards that are advancing on me. Oh, this guy's dead. Bye. No, I'm not outgunned. I outgunned the Necrons massively because I've tricked out my guys with Argytech out the ass.
I don't know if I'd say that Star Wars guns still look futuristic. I mean, like, you can really tell they're just like old guns with plastic on them. I don't really mind that though, because Star Wars is like very high tech and very primitive at the same time, so it kind of seems
Yeah,
appropriate.
it's retro kind of IP. Okay.
I mean, even back in the 70s, they used like manual like flak turrets
Yeah,
with iron sights.
yeah, they used and the base guns were like 1940s guns because I suppose it's like a supposed to look like like all this equipment is all in the universe or something like that. Like in the universe, those blasters are old. Like everything in Star Wars is just old and worn out, for the most part.
Well,
Or
not so
dumb-
much worn out as a lot of the tech has plateaued.
But they haven't like mastered the art of better aiming systems than iron sights on space cannons.
Fucking TIE fighters.
Well, that's
TIE
because
fighters.
as soon as they put an automatic aiming, which is as easy as hooking up a droid, someone else hooks up a droid to put up a jammer. And post Clone Wars with the droid army, jammers are cheap, jammers are everywhere.
I mean, even with that excuse, the fucking pilots are terrible. Like worse TIE fighter
Both.
pilots.
I like
Fucking
actually
awful.
laughed in the theater in The Last Jedi when they were doing the bombing run and they literally had like B-17 ball turrets on the
Oh god,
bombers.
those were so bad.
Oh, that design was just bad.
Why? Why would you ever do? It's so funny. Oh, fine.
Okay,
It's
you
fine.
know the ship that in Rogue One gets plastered all over the front of the Star Destroyer, that little transport eggshell thing?
Yeah.
That would make a better bomber than those things.
Why don't they
Like,
just shoot the fucking bombs? Shoot
It's like
the
a million
bombs.
versus debaters cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.
Like, it would be so easy to make a fucking missile because it's in space, so you don't have to fight gravity or a fucking air resistance. Put a rocket in the end of it.
Oh, there is
Shoot
air
it at
resistance because the bombs like fall like they're on Earth.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid.
I mean,
I mean,
as somebody who's
maybe
played
they're
Star
not-
Wars Battlefront, it's not the dumbest thing, but it was still pretty stupid.
I mean, I guess they're like magnetically like guided or something. That's why
No,
they fall.
what they did was they took the gravity systems built into the ships and just made a really tall gravity system.
Why in the name of God would you do that? And not just instead of
Is
just
that
having
easier
this
than just making missiles?
it sounds like way more complicated and expensive than just putting a fucking rocket in the end of a bomb.
Or just taking a shipping container from those eggshell transports, putting an engine on one end, and taking the brain off of an old vulture droid.
Or just taking like a yeah, exactly. Just take a fucking random cargo ship that's like going to be decommissioned and just warp hyperdrive into the fucking enemy fleet. Why don't they just do that? And then they like explain it away in Rise of the Skywalker or whatever the fuck that movie's called. They're like, well, it's a 1 in a million shot.
So, fire a million containers with rockets.
Why don't you try?
The bizarre thing is they like explain it away, but then they show it happening at the end again anyway.
That movie was a fucking
It's
mess.
because J.J. Abrams really isn't a good writer. He basically just writes whatever he thinks is cool
Fucking
without
idiot.
any thought whatsoever. I mean, he is a hack. He is basically the definition.
He's the hack.
That reminds
He's
me,
ruined Star Trek, he's ruined Star Wars.
I think it was gonna be Ryan Johnson.
thought it was Colin Trevorrow.
So, the guy who called out Ray as Mary Sue?
Oh, Colin Trevorrow was originally supposed to direct episode 9.
Yeah, he was,
learned
and his plan
Oh
was
my God, you
great,
read-
but it wasn't bad either.
Wait,
just
they're going to
fucking-
have
Yep.
3 different directors?
My favorite thing
Yeah,
from J.J. Abrams' Star Wars is, like, you could see the laser from across the galaxy, and so the EU had to, like, retcon that as, like, sub-hyperspace reality warping or something.
Yeah, and Spock, like the same thing with fucking Star Trek. He has no like idea of scale. He did the same mistake. The fucking Star Trek reboot movie, like Spock is just sent to fucking deserted fucking moon in the middle of nowhere, and he can see from like light years away, and see his fucking planet getting destroyed, his Vulcan getting swallowed up by a black hole.
No, that wasn't Black Hole. That was Vulcan using logic to escape that universe because they were out.
This is the same
Yeah,
movie
no
where they
way.
said one supernova will destroy the galaxy.
Oh, a fucking supernova. What movie is that?
They directly say that supernova will destroy the galaxy in like 2009 Star Trek.
You see that? No, I don't remember.
Even if a supernova was large enough to destroy the galaxy and went off right away, it would still take tens of thousands of years to
Take like
Get to
like
the
a
edge.
million years. It will literally take a million years to destroy the galaxy. I'm pretty sure it's like sunlight, right? The nova shockwave. I don't know how it works. I don't know anything about astronomy. Pretty sure it's gonna be like at least a little bit slower than light.
Yes,
Ah,
which is the reason why they can get away from that supernova in
Tell
that
me about-
one episode of The Next Generation where they have to put in the ice linear chips and everyone's drunk.
like it all.
The worst episode ever. Around in 1996, when I said like you have to skip some episodes, that's the kind of shit that I meant. Everybody gets like all the crew gets fucking drunk. Like, it's a reuse of like an idea from the original series.
And it wasn't that.
Yeah, it wasn't that great of an episode in the original series, but then they like tried it again. It was the most embarrassing, unfunny thing anyone's ever made.
It was bad.
It was really, really bad. Yeah, that one's really good. Yeah, it's a pretty good episode.
At, at least what they could have done was something like the episode with that casino with that basically malfunctioning holodeck, but it's on a planet this time,
Oh yeah,
and the guy's already dead.
yeah. There's like an astronaut, right? That
Yeah.
inspector. And is that the first season or the second season?
I think that was the first season because Riker didn't have the beard.
Oh, Riker didn't have the beard, right? And Worf looks pretty badass in like the last seasons and in Deep Space Nine. But in like the first season of TNG, he looks like such a fucking dork with that hair. He's like really skinny. He hadn't bulked up, and like the uniforms for the first season are like this really fucking tight spandex.
And the
Really-
fake muscles.
No, yeah, and he looks really like skinny, and the hair makes him like look like a fucking dork. Like, has the uniforms changed, and has his hair changed, he became like a badass. Like the same thing with like Riker's beard. It's with Worf, where he like his badassness keeps escalating along with his uniform.
To a point.
And Picard like a pathetic, senile old goober in the new series.
No, I just don't count. I barely count Enterprise with the way they ended that. I mean, yeah, the Enterprise might have had a few good ideas, but just
I mean, all the good ideas were literally stripped away by the fucking producers of the show, by the network. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. It was supposed to be completely different. It's supposed to be like the first season. They weren't even gonna like go to space. It was just gonna be on Earth. It was just gonna be them building the fucking ship, dealing with like external policy.
that would have been interesting for the first few episodes, where they're on the ship, but everything is going wrong, and it takes them a couple episodes just to get out of space, and for the next few episodes after that, they're on the shakedown cruise, and they have to fix everything 4 times before it actually sticks. You know, have more crazy transporter shenanigans where, yeah, this isn't working because this is very experimental technology, as in, have a reason why they basically always use the shuttlecraft. And even to the classic era. Classic. I mean, like,
It was
make
just
it.
like it was the same thing with Voyager, because with Voyager it was also just like, oh, they have a bunch of ideas, but the network. I mean, like King Rick Berman and the other guy, I forgot his name. They weren't that great on ideas to begin with, but they had some. But then the
Well,
network was like, no, you can't do any of this. Like,
I can
if you're-
understand why the network did that
I don't
because
know. Voyager,
because
like Year of Hell, is famously the episode Year of Hell was like a whole season, and the network was like, "Well, that's too complicated. Just make it like 2 episodes." They like cut it. They kept cutting it in half because first it was supposed to be 26 episodes. It was supposed to be a season. And we're like, "Nah, that's fucking stupid. Make it 13 episodes." And they were like, "No, that's stupid again. Make it
Oh,
5." And
okay,
finally, they were like, "Fuck it. Make it 2 episodes. Go fuck yourself." So that's
Vo-
like you can see
Voyager.
Voyager.
If they had a season which was the Year of Hell, that would make more sense than Enterprise with the whole Zindi Time War shenanigans.
Indie Time Warp
That
shit
almost
was
level.
like we're like we need a fucking story arc because like long story arcs, right? So let's make a fucking bullshit world.
But
Makes gotta make something up.
but you know how Voyager nowadays is a lot of reruns, and it doesn't really matter uh,
Oh, that's really not good.
what reruns playing. It's a Voyager episode. It doesn't matter the order.
Yeah, because it's
In
totally
that
like
in that way, it kind of worked. So
because it's totally episodic, right? It's like a
yeah, that is what the network wanted. Something they could just put on reruns for the next 50 years.
yeah,
So
like
what they wanted, they got.
yeah,
Could it have
because
been
like
a lot better? Yeah.
but then, like, because of that, all that stuff with network, I kind of understand their laziness because a lot of fucking problems with Star Trek, Voyager, and Enterprise, it's just that the writers are lazy. They don't give
Yeah,
half
like,
the time.
a,
And
a,
then I
a lot of
understand why they don't give a shit because, like, you don't if you write what you want to write, why bother at all to make
yeah.
something?
I mean, there was a lot of there was a lot of potential with Voyager. And yes, the network's meddling messed that up immensely. I mean, how many different species did they set up as potential multi reoccurring villains that could last an entire arc and then dropped them?
At the same time, they also did like the lazy route of like, oh, this is fucking Kazon. Was it? And they were basically
Yeah.
like their Klingons. We don't have Klingons, so just
They're
go
budget Klingons.
budget Klingons. That's more like Rick Berman's because Rick Berman again, yeah, not fuck up the show. Rick Berman's like a fucking idiot. That's a
Well,
Rick Berman thing. Like,
do you know what the sad part is? The Kazon from Voyager are more Klingons than the Klingons from Discovery.
I mean, they look more similar, I guess. Klingons. I mean, the Klingons from Discovery, like they're like at least they kind of act like Klingons, but they just don't. I don't know why they made them like this. Why they turned them into like orcs from fucking Lord of the Rings.
Because it needed to. Because it needed to be. Was it 15% distinct so that they can rake in their own
I don't know. Was it that was the case?
sales, design sales?
I mean, they literally are orcs. Like in the standard fantasy setup, you have your orcs and your elves and your dwarves, and Star Trek pretty much abides by that perfectly.
Sort of, yeah, but oh,
You can have your dark elves.
it was like it was it's a bit unnecessary because I don't know, they just try to monsterify them for some reason to make it like edgier, to make it like I don't know, hip with the fucking kids because it's darker. Look at how fucking ugly these fucking Klingons are.
Well,
There's
apparently,
no real purpose to it.
from what I've heard, one of the reasons why they changed the look of the Klingons and the Klingon ships and the whole look of the show was if it looked too much like Star Trek, they would need to be licensing or something, or they would need to pay a percentage when they made their own toys or whatnot.
I know that's
Basically,
the-
money.
I know that's the reason that like the Enterprise was different, and I like the design. It looks pretty good. But the Klingons were like,
That's me wondering.
Make the Klingon.
That has
They
me
made-
wondering. Does the same kind of marketing thing apply to Star Wars? Because I can't help but notice, like in the sequels, they literally just introduce like original stuff, but they make like one cosmetic change to it, so they apparently don't have to so they can make a toy out of that and don't have to pay royalties to the old design.
Or
No, I
the
don't
old
think-
authors.
I don't think that's it for like Star Trek. I think they just try to make something like that looks cooler or something.
No, that was literally some of the reasons for some of the changes they did. Was they didn't want to pay the
Yeah, sure. I know
original
that,
people.
but I also think there was. I don't know how much of that like thing it can look 25%. I think that
Yeah.
only applies to like Star Trek original
No.
series. I don't know if it applies.
No,
to, like,
but that was one of the reasons why some of the uniform changes and this and that, the other thing. It doesn't look like Star Trek because if it looked too much like Star Trek, they would have to pay money. Or some reason. It's like, it was really dumb. But from what I remember, it's just make you shake your head. And I'm not sure if that was because it was the production company. Like,
I think it was. Yeah, I know that this 25% thing existed because of the Enterprise. But it's like a dispute between Paramount and CBS. I don't know who would have to pay like who's what.
it's
I knew it was
basically
a-
like how there were no X-Men in the Infinity War. It's like, yeah, the entire planet's in danger, and we're not calling in these people because we don't want to pay. Yeah. So basically, what YouTube's doing. Yeah. Yeah. Modern copyright law is just broken.
With chips.
California
Oh,
Highway
chip-
Patrol.
Oh, the TV show from the 70s. Okay. My mom watched that one.
So halfway between Chips and Police Academy.
Hey, mistake your guns for toys. Now, a plastic gun is going to be considerably lighter than a real piece of steel. Uh,
Based on a true story, considering some Indonesian police districts and how bad the corruption was. Seriously, it was really bad. At least what, all four of them?
Reminds me of how in the Florida Keys, one police department was so corrupt that they literally just fired the entire department by declaring the department to be like a criminal organization.
oh, probably do that in Brazil too. Yeah. There's a difference. So when you say military police, you think like MPs, like army MPs. They're not that. We have the military police, and then we have the police of the military, which is like an American like MP. Yeah. Yeah. Military police is just regular police. We have like a weird thing where we have like civil police. I don't know. They're like like guards. They can't carry guns. It's a weird thing. Then we have the military police, which are just like regular guys. Then we have like the federal police, which is FBI basically.
And that was followed up by equally paranoid Suharto. That
Oh,
didn't
that's
last.
oh, that's Cold War for you.
They're a bit more than jerk.
Yeah.
Isn't like East Timor the thing where the place where they like annexed it and then like made the guys forget like stop speaking Portuguese?
Yeah. It was bad times.
I think
Or West Timor, for that matter.
It's Indonesia, I think.
Joke. That's the joke, where people don't know where it is.
I mean, there's literally the western part of the island. You could just call it Dutch Timor. Sounds very 40k.
Yeah, the administratum.
They don't need to accidentally do it, it just kind of happens.
It's called Tuesday. No. Yeah, I'd take the administratum over those guys. Yeah. It's dark times.
Is that like the worst thing he did?
I mean, our Air Force is F5s and Skyhawks. We got like the king. I forgot the name. Of that.
Well, our Air Force is the first largest Air Force, and the second largest Air Force is our Navy.
And the third largest is the Marines. I mean, I guess I guess it isn't, but it's probably close, right? You fucking
And then you have all your different
And the Marines.
administrations that have more of an air force than many countries. I mean, I think even the U.S. Coast Guard is bigger air force than a bunch.
Depending on the fuck me. Depending on the F-16, that's not that big of an advantage. If like a first production model.
It's like an 80 spider.
I mean, that's if it's at least a little more recent. It's still better than an F5. We're getting the new. I forgot the fucking Saab jet we were getting.
By Chinese.
Well, why did they do that?
What does it have to do with F-16s?
Yeah, that kind of doesn't tell me.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah,
a
we have a
very
tendency to do that.
That's a very fucking bizarre way of getting that done. That's a very interesting. Oh, well, what are we gonna do to block this fucking purchase? No, we're just gonna shoot up a bunch of people. Okay. I mean,
where were the troops
Yeah.
then if they weren't there on paper?
Corruption.
That tends to be the case with civil wars. That is what a civil war is.
True. I don't think you can call like police insurgents like rebels or anything. When rebelling against Germany isn't exactly a civil war.
It kind of depends on where you were. Like, if you were in Ukraine and you were an insurgent, then you're probably just as likely to be fighting Ukrainians. Right.
Scorched earth? Fucking killed. I've been shot. That's burning help the country down while on retreat. Yeah, you deserve to get shot in the face.
Remember, corruption.
Making a civil war. Oh. There's like down here in Brazil, there is a lot of talk of fucking coup d'etat, an illegal thing to take out Bolsonaro. Like no, like they want to do a fucking impeachment, want to get him on something. I don't think I don't know how that's working, and people are like, oh, we gotta fucking take him down. It makes me really uncomfortable. I mean, I don't even know if there was like a forced like a coup d'etat like involving like military force. I think there will be really like a civil war. Nobody here has guns. Guns are like I mean, you can pretty much expect unitary fucking support of the people at this point because Bolsonaro is out of his fucking mind.
I mean, he did win with like 60% of the vote.
50 something, but now it's like, well, after the fucking coronavirus debacle, after all that he's doing now, people are like, maybe it was a bad idea to get this. But I don't know if, like, even if we forced him out, I don't want anyone to get fucking forced out of it. I don't know if somebody fucking forced him out of the chair of the presidency, like, it would be like a war, actual like war, but
A lot of
makes me
coups,
really.
a lot of coups have started as somewhat legitimate attempts to force out people who have exceeded constitutional mandates and either turned into civil wars or subsequently another dictatorship.
Yeah. I mean, Chile wasn't like a fucking a fair like a justified coup, but at the same time, it didn't turn into like a war. I don't know.
In the case of Chile, the crap, what was the word for it? The casus belli was that Ale- Allende or Allende, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He had
Salvador
exceeded
Allende.
Allende. He had exceeded his powers, and so the plan was to overthrow him and then hold an election after. But then they just never did that.
But then it was more complicated than that because fucking O'Shea, he was like, he wasn't supposed to be like president for life or anything.
He got a referendum to take his office, and he was supposed to hold it was supposed to be a temporary thing that he would hold elections for later, but he
Because
delayed
it was
those by
just
like
like
a decade.
because he was just like some asshole. He was just like a pawn. Just like, oh, whatever. They literally just like recruited him because he was like a global, an idiot. Okay, I guess you can just stay on that seat for a while. Not gonna do anything anyhow. It's too fucking stupid to do anything. You're just gonna put you in power for like a year or like that.
That's also a pretty common thing in coups. Try to manipulate somebody and they end up just taking over from the inside. The Argentine one?
Oh, like
They should have tried to invade Puerto Rico then.
enacting the red ring is the worst. Literally just take over Argentina. It would be pretty fun.
But yeah, Canada has a long history with temporary things not being temporary, because we're still dealing with the temporary war measures, income tax from World War One. It's supposed to be temporary for World War One.
Nobody bothered to fucking. I mean, I guess the politicians are not going to bother to take out tax,
Something
right?
that gives them money.
Yeah, why would they bother? Nobody's noticing it.
I mean, that was a bigger issue than conscription back then, when it was being discussed.
A lot of things, especially in the tax code, can just kind of slip under the radar if no one pays attention. For example, in the United States, we have something called the mortgage interest deduction, which is supposed to encourage homeownership. It's about $100 billion in tax breaks that pretty much entirely go to like upper middle class homeowners. Just no one has bothered to like close the loophole and free up the money.
100 fucking billion?
I mean, like on our scale, it's kind of small, but you can still do a lot with it.
And 100 billion is a lot of money.
A billion here and a billion there. Soon you're talking about real money.
I don't even want a billion. I don't want to be a fucking billionaire. That would be a pain in the ass.
You'd have to hire people just to keep track of your money.
And
Just
all your friends would be like fake fucking greasy ass motherfuckers. Just want your money.
Yeah, it would be a problem. Yeah, God, it would be really passive aggressive too, wouldn't it? Like if you're with your friend and you're doing literally anything, it would always expect you to like. If they come to
Pay
you and
for
ask, not even just pay for it, but like they come to you and ask, "Hey, dude, can I borrow $1 million?" and you say no. I mean, you'd be fucking mad.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't give anyone $1 million for just no reason.
I mean, like Yeah, you wouldn't, but like someone might have the perception, like, oh, $1 million is nothing to you because
Oh,
you're
you
the billion.
could. That's the thing. You could because it's like giving like it's like any of us giving $10 or something. Maybe a
That
little more,
assumes
like 100
No,
bucks.
you'd have to
that
say,
much.
is it tax deductible? No.
You wouldn't have that much sitting around in liquid assets either, I assume.
No, you wouldn't.
I've read a lot of news stories about people who like won the lottery, like they had their entire like social lives ruined from it. Ever read anything like that?
I mean, it worked once. Why wouldn't it work again?
It's actually worse than one in a million.
It's way worse than 1 in a million. Like I yeah, but it's like one in like 45 million or something.
Uh,
Depends on the
it's
lottery.
it's usually
It
a lot
depends.
more.
Depends if it's like 20 grand lottery or something like that. Because there's different like sometimes the reward is like a billion for fucking $1 million. Sometimes it's like 20,000. And like the probability of you it changes according to like
How many
the
tickets are bought?
how also like well, how much money you're gonna get from it. It's $20,000. Not gonna be like a 1 in a million chance because then nobody's gonna buy the ticket.
Oh, they'll still buy it.
Yeah, but like if it's the 1 in a million, you might as well buy for like fucking one that they can give you like $20 million instead of 20,000.
At that point, you may as well just spend your lottery ticket money on the slots. At least you'll get free drinks and flashing lights.
Usually the ones that give you a lot of money are like fucking absurd chances.
As in, go out and try and get struck by lightning on a clear day.
Something like that. I'm pretty sure like
I'm pretty sure that's a thing in every country. You're not allowed to hold like unlicensed lotteries.
yeah, like in Brazil, the lotteries are like government regulated.
Because, one, the government wants its cut, and two, it's too many people have gotten burned.
I'm
And
pretty sure holding a unauthorized lottery is like a federal crime in this country.
Oh, by
Yeah.
the way, random guy, I'll show you what a Castellan is now.
Right?
You check the stream, I'll show you what a Castellan is.
You mean like MLM
Rex?
scam, multi-level marketing, that kind of thing? Yeah, I know about that. Reminds me of the biggest Ponzi scheme in history was run by a guy with like a comic book villain nickname. Bernie Madoff.
So as a Madoff name?
Like he made off with your money, like literally.
And you got burned?
Yeah. So what?
I'd kind of describe it as somewhat like a Centurion Cylon from Battlestar, but also flesh and blood because someone got turned into that because they messed with the Mechanicus.
Kind of like anything the Combine used in Half-Life 2.
Yeah, but more. Yeah.
Is that a game or are you talking about reality? Okay. Right. No, you don't need to tell me that. I'm an expert on Indonesian law enforcement because I have in fact seen the raid. Yeah, but that wouldn't make a very exciting martial arts movie, would it? did you not use live ammunition a few decades ago?
Ooh, got rid of the Lich Guard.
So what game are you playing?
I tried to get into the older like the single player ones.
Oh, wonderful Necron death marks. Bring in the Castellan again.
So, is there any in-universe reason to have a
It's very punchy. Also, it comes equipped too with range weapons as well. Unfortunately, I can't use them because it's positioned because it would just hit all of my troops with flamethrowers.
right?
Yeah, new tech priest.
Right, I think I'm gonna head out. Talk to you guys later.
All right.
Okay. So. I should probably check to see if anything's been posted. I was just playing some Terraria, so. I haven't done much but set up a couple rooms and then dig straight down.